Hello and welcome to my first edition of Toy Farm series. This is where I bring farm experiences right before you. This tour will be done in my apiary and you're about to see how I harvest honey. This is me well protected in my bee suit carrying my buckets. I change my honey buckets every single year. I also have with me my bee smoker. This is my first time of using a bee smoker ever since I started beekeeping. I have practiced other smoking methods but not the use of bee smoker. This bee smoker disappointed me many times. The smoke was quick to go off. Among all the beehives I have in this apiary, the colony in this hive seems to be more aggressive than the others, so I had to be very careful when opening the hive. Before I forget, see the man behind the camera here, the very cute man behind the camera, although at some point he left. This is the first bar I brought out from the beehive. You can see that the comb is filled with honey and fully capped. It is due for harvesting. At this point I was trying to turn the other side so you can see it clearly. This is the other side of it, also capped. Bringing out a frame or a bar from a beehive can be difficult sometimes because of the propolis. But then I succeeded. This is the second bar, fully capped too. I will have to take it, definitely. During harvesting, you are likely to experience some problems. A problem I faced here is cross combing. This is when bees build a single comb on two different bars. This cross combing gives room to comb breakage. And the truth is this, sometimes carefulness cannot remedy the issue. You will just have to face the comb breakage. Over to the next bar. You can see that this honeycomb is broken, and this is as a result of cross combing. In everything I was doing, I made sure that my smoke was very active because these bees are so aggressive and they can mess you up. You know, one thing that gives a beekeeper joy is that moment when you come to harvest and then you find fully capped honey. The joy is just out of this world. This is the front and then the back view of it, fully capped. This is exactly what can happen when there is cross combing. There will be a lot of breakages there. At this moment, the only option I had was to smoke the bees so that they can stay off the broken combs while I use my hand to scoop the comb. Left to me, I would say a lot of honey wasted here, but for the bees, it's not a waste. They will eat up every little bit of it. And don't bother about the cleanliness of the hive. Bees observe hygiene protocols. Inside the hive is neat and safe. The process goes on and on and on. At this point I have harvested I think about 6 bars. This is another bar, fully capped. Of course, every beekeeper's dream. This one I can't harvest it because there are some brood combs there together with uncapped honey, so the best I can do will just be to return it. So what I did was to remove that broken side and then I kept back the comb. I was already getting exhausted. I had already harvested from a hive before coming to this one, so battling with bees and then making sure that your smoke is very active can be really exhausting. I even forgot to tell you, at this point my cameraman has disappeared. He faced little attack and then he ran away. The buzzing of bees can be really frightening, and you can't just ignore it. Moving on, this is another bar. Looking at this, you will observe that it cannot be harvested. A little part of the comb has honey, while more part of it has brood, so it cannot be harvested. There won't be need to bring out more bars. The other bars will contain brood in them. So what I had to do was just to scoop out the remaining fully capped honeycomb that broke inside the hive. After that, I began to arrange the bars the way they are supposed to be. Each of them has a unique number, which will help me know which one comes next. And then with this, I will be able to fix it without stress. Arranging these bars takes quite a while. You just have to be patient so as to get it properly fixed. Then finally, closing of the hive. You have to be very careful so you don't crush the bees. That is why it is advised to smoke the top of the hive before covering it. This outer cover helps to give it a better shade against direct sunlight and rain. Then I placed a wood and a block on the zinc to make sure it doesn't get blown away. Over to the next hive. The hive below is the next hive I harvested from. The one above it is an empty hive which has not yet been colonized. I'm sure the bees were very happy to see me. As usual, to give you the perfect view, I had to place the camera very well so you don't miss out on a single thing. Just to get a perfect view, I lifted this camera multiple times. This camera did not rest in my hand. I lifted it a lot of times. Anyway, enjoy the view. The process that was carried out in the former hive is still the same process that will be carried out in this hive. And here I am again battling to bring out a bar. You know, these bees use propolis to seal up cracks in the hive, reinforcing the hive structure and protecting the hive against pathogens. So you don't expect it to be easy to pull out a bar. In this particular hive, I also noticed cross combing. In fact, this one is even worse than the last one I harvested from. The combs went completely opposite. Of course, battling with this will be very difficult, and I should be ready to experience a lot of comb breakage. I'm sure you remember when I told you that bees do carry out hygiene protocols. Take a good look at this. This leaf fell inside when I was opening the hive. These are the bees carrying out their hygiene protocols. So when I tell you that the hive is always neat, don't doubt me. Some of you might ask, are you not smoking them too much? Please, I am not smoking them too much. If you leave these bees will mess you up. So the best I could do for myself was just to make sure that my smoke was very active. Here, I wasn't making use of the smoker anymore. The smoke from the smoker kept on extinguishing, so I had to leave it and then go back to my usual method. Ever since I started my beekeeping journey, this is the first time I'm experiencing cross-combing that is as serious as this. Please, beekeepers, how do you handle issues like this? A lot was already running through my head on how to tackle this issue. This is a better view of the cross combs. Feel free to take a screenshot. Another stressing thing about this whole stuff is that these combs are very fragile. As you are bringing them out, they will keep breaking. If only the bees built the combs correctly, I think this won't be an issue. You can see that the combs have already started breaking. This is just the problem I have with them. But within me, I was very happy. Do you know what it means harvesting honey? Don't worry, some of you cannot relate because you are not beekeepers. At this point, what I just had to do was to carefully cut out the combs. It wasn't easy, but that is just the only option I had. I shouldn't say it again because you all are now aware that I don't joke with my smoke. So the process goes on and on and on. Despite the whole issue of this cross combing, I derived joy from the fact that a major part of these combs were fully capped. Now tell me, which beekeeper will see this and not smile? Tell me, which beekeeper will see a fully capped honey and not be joyful? This is part of what makes up the joy of every beekeeper. Beekeepers are aware of what I'm about to say. As a beekeeper, it is wrong for you to harvest all the honey, leaving nothing for the bees. While harvesting, you should have something in mind, that the wet season is coming, and whatever you remain for them is what will sustain them throughout the wet season. But at this point, I was having issues. Because of the cross combing, I was thinking if I should harvest everything and then correct the issue of cross combing by spacing out the bars, or if I should just leave for them something they would use throughout the wet season. Meanwhile, this is another comb with not fully capped honey. It has a little of pollen in it, but then because of the cross combing, I will just have to harvest it. So back to what I was saying. After much thought, I decided to keep for them something that will sustain them throughout the wet season. But the only issue I had is that these combs were breaking off as a result of cross combing. At this moment, I had no other option than to take off everything and then correct the issue of cross combing at once. Take a look at this one. Ordinarily, I shouldn't have harvested it because it has just a very little portion that is capped. Well, I had no other option but to take it out. This is a clearer view of what inside of the hive looks like. Another thing that got me upset while I was doing this thing is that as I was harvesting, I was losing so much honey to the bottom of the hive. Well, the bees won't allow it to waste. These other combs contain broods in them, but then I still had no other option than to take them off. When I was done harvesting, the next thing I did was to scrape off the combs that are still attached to the bars. After that, the next thing I did was to start spacing out the bars. The issue here is that I don't even know if the spaces in between these bars are good enough to correct the issue of cross combing. If you are a beekeeper, your opinion is highly needed. Do well to drop a comment in the comment section and don't forget to give a thumbs up. This year, I will be visiting as many farms as possible and I will be bringing these experiences right before you. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any single experience. Don't bother about the bees, they will definitely get back into the beehive.